Welcome to my live stream. Okay, just let me check my sound. Yeah, that's clear enough. Yeah, I've started on time, which is 9:30 a.m. my local time. But looking around, I don't think the SpaceX. All right, they've given us. Oh no, that's good. Okay, the SpaceX coverage hasn't started. They've given a time of 9:50 a.m. my local time, so that's another 20 minutes. Yeah, it was worse than that before. I thought it was going to be another half an hour before they started. Okay, they put that back a little bit. They must be making up time. I had a look at Twitch, and they had started the prop load about 12 minutes ago. So, yeah, if they keep putting the time back, we don't really know exactly when they're going to start their telecast. So what I'll do is I'll just go over the the flight profile. It's very much like the last flight. Let's see what we can get here. Get this one right. Yeah, very much like the last flight. The combined system, which is ship, they're calling the first stage ship and the boosters, but they call the whole thing together Starship. Okay, it'll take off. It'll start its gravity turn. Once it gets up to a certain altitude, it'll do hot staging. The booster will flip over roughly 180 degrees and do the boost back maneuver. It also continues to go up. You'll notice that's quite important. It still keeps gaining altitude. You can actually watch that on the instrumentation they'll show. You'll see that the altitude is still increasing after the boost back burns started. That's fairly important. That then will change the trajectory. They're going to land in the Gulf of Mexico, so they're not attempting a return to launch site. Yeah, it's very much like the last one. So they're going to land in the water. That's going to result in the destruction of the booster. So they won't be able to. I guess they might try to recover something out of it, but you know, it's pretty much you assume that the booster's destroyed. They're going to land in the water instead of landing in the chopstick system. So the ship will continue on its engines to it cuts them off, and then it'll coast up to its highest point. They're going to do some tests. They're going to launch some more dummy satellites or something. I don't think they're launching any real ones. If any of this changes, they'll certainly tell us during the briefing. So, and then it'll be in a suborbital trajectory. It'll start to descend, and then it'll re-enter through the atmosphere over the Indian Ocean, and they're going to attempt a they'll do another flip maneuver, and then land. They'll do a landing burn and attempt to they're calling it a splashdown, but it's really a crash, crash into the Indian Ocean. So you assume that that'll also destroy. They might be able to recover something, but you assume that's going to also be the destruction of ship as well. All right. Now, from what I've heard, is this is likely to be the last launch of this year, despite them saying at one point they're going to have 25 test flights in 2025. Well, clearly they got nowhere near that. If this is going to be the last one of the year, that means they're going to start testing the new prototype sometime next year. So this is sort of the old prototype. Yeah, so I'm not expecting anything terribly unusual on this one. So it's, it's supposed to be a recoverable system, a reusable, recoverable rocket, but they're not reusing or recovering any of it. So, yeah, read into that what you will. Yeah, I'm a little suspicious. In my mind, if the fact that they're not returning to launch site means they're testing with less fuel in it than what is actually required, so they might be having some weight issues. That's my suspicion at this point in time. It just seems like a sort of a strange way to test a reusable booster to go and crash it into the ocean. But anyway, whatever. You can speculate all you like about what their true motives are here. Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they started loading the propellant into the upper stage. All right. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Get an update on their broadcast. Right. Okay, still saying 9:50. All right, we've got about another 10 minutes or so to go. They'll talk for about half an hour, and then they'll do the launch. They'll do the countdown and stuff. So they've updated the website. They've now got countdown clocks and stuff like that, and they're actually taking into account the local time zone as well, and that's good. It makes it easier for people like me to keep an eye on what's going on. Oh, they said they're going to reuse some of the Raptor engines. Now, just having a look at Thunderfoot and see if he's doing anything tonight. It'll be it's about 10:30 over in the UK, but he's over in Europe, so it'll be about 11:30 there. Don't know if he's going to do anything tonight. He's one guy I watch. The people like Everyday Astronaut and NASASpaceflight, they've been going for a while now. So you can check them out if they're more to your liking. All right, so I might as well just wait. I'm not going anywhere. Just in case somebody does pop in and ask me a question, I will attempt to answer it to the best of my ability. $50. All right, so you can go and watch it on X, but the telecast that I'm using is the one that's broadcast on the SpaceX website. It's adequate for my purposes. So what I'll do is I'll just let their commentary play. After the launch, everything's going to happen in the first 10 minutes, and after that, it'll be 45 minutes of sort of coasting, and then the re-entry. So you can always, if you're not interested in the coast, you can come back later to watch the re-entry. But the launch and that is all, and the staging and all that, up to the point where they cut the engines off, that'll be in the first 10 minutes or so. So you can time it from there. They give you a rough timeline anyway, so that one. So we must be down about around about here, I'd say. Not quite. Okay. All right, they're loading the upper stage first. No, they said they'll go for a prop load, and they're loading the upper stage. Then they'll load the booster. Fair enough. So we're up here somewhere. All right. Yeah. So, SpaceX is a private company, and what's a company? Yeah, as a it's a private. Is that the right word? It's not a government organisation, put it that way. So they will they'll spend a lot of their time sort of promoting their company, of course, as they do. Then they got an audience, saying that they're going to take advantage of it. But I guess even NASA goes and promotes itself now as well when they get an audience. Yeah, if you're familiar with any of my other previous live streams, the problem I have with this is that they'll talk a lot about Mars. They might even talk about the moon, getting to Mars, getting to the moon, but this ship is neither of those things. It's not a moon ship and it's not a Mars ship, not even close. It's a satellite launcher. So my advice, if you care, if you don't care, don't worry about it. It's no one's responsibility, but if you do care, don't listen to what they say. Never listen to what they say. Look at what they do. Look at what they achieve. They like to talk. They'll talk big. And it's basically bollocks. And that's a polite word for it. Yeah, it's what they're demonstrating as a satellite launcher, and not even a particularly good one. Although if they do get it to work, it'll be the biggest one ever made. But let's see what happens first. Things to watch out for is the they will show, if they do, they'll probably show the interior of the upper stage, and you'll see that it's mostly empty and stuff like that. Now, if they were actually testing a moon rocket, say for example, they would have a cabin in there, life support and stuff like that. The thing is supposed to carry astronauts at some point. They should be they should be testing out their life support systems and stuff like that by now. But they're not. You just see it's just a big empty vessel, and you'll see the satellite launcher. You won't see anything else. So I'm saying just keep your eye on what you can actually see, not what they say. So, and when they talk about Mars, that's total It's a total fantasy. I'd be very surprised if anyone lands on Mars, a human lands on Mars in my lifetime, and I suspect no one's ever going to land on Mars. There's just no real, there's no benefit in it. None. It's far better to send robots. I'd say even if anyone was foolhardy enough to try to get to Mars, they wouldn't survive the trip. It's just a little bit. If you ignore any of the technical issues that no one's actually. It's not that they haven't even got around to solving them yet; they don't know how to solve them. So, if yeah, no one's at this point in time. No one would even survive the trip. People can't be kept in a weightless environment for that long. They've already proven that with by how long they can keep people up on the International Space Station and that. And even then, some of them come back with sort of fairly not trivial medical issues, stuff like that. So even that's right on the edge of human survivability. The other thing, the problem with getting to Mars is the radiation exposure, because the International Space Station is well within the Earth's magnetosphere. The magnetosphere deflects radiation away from the Earth. Now they won't have that. They'll just be getting blasted by the sun. So the ship at minimum's got to have to have enough shielding to stop that occurring. That's a lot of weight. Right, we're coming up to 10:2. Let's see if they stick with their schedule here. Pretty much the flight to Mars is impossible, and when you get to Mars itself, it's also impossible. There's almost no atmosphere. Temperatures are colder than you can imagine. Far, far, far colder than Antarctica, say. There's almost no air. And the soil, well, they don't really, if you want to call it soil, is poisonous, and it's totally devoid of any organic material. Like the soil on Earth's had 3.5 billion years to accumulate organic material in it. Mars hasn't got any life, so there's no biological material in it whatsoever. So you're going to have to basically take all the soil with you. You can't really make it, not by any craft that we possess, as the saying goes. So they're going to have to take the soil with them, or they're going to have to use hot hydroponics. And hydroponics don't always necessarily, they're not as good as you might have been led to believe. Yeah, so you add up all this stuff, and it's just, you think, nah, it just isn't going to happen. Just is not going to happen. And someone explained to me, or I read somewhere, or somebody told me, said, they're talking about setting up a city on Mars of 1 million people or something like that, some sort of number just, Paul just totally invented. Well, there's many places on Earth that wouldn't even support us a city of 1 million people. And I'm serious. You know, you can't sort of just plunk a city in the middle of, say, the Great Plains or something. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. There's not even enough there to keep a city of 1 million people going. Even in a fairly benign environment like that, you know, there are cities there, but you know they've got connections to the coast and they've got airports and railway lines and stuff like that to bring them in to make up the shortfall of stuff that they can't produce locally. And you know, if you compare, say, Mars to Antarctica, Antarctica looks like a tropical paradise compared to the conditions on Mars. So yeah, they're dreaming. They're dreaming. So keep that in mind when they start talking about Mars and the moon. It's important to focus on what they can actually demonstrate. Words are cheap. Everybody knows that. So it's all a bit sad at the moment. I'm even thinking the current moon mission that they've got planned, I reckon that's looking like it's in jeopardy at the moment. You have to go and look it up. I can't even be bothered anymore trying to follow it. The Orion and all that. Can't remember what they called the project. I think that's in jeopardy as well. So I'm finding it all a little depressing. Oh, here we go. Good. It's Mars. Yeah, of course. Of course it is. Hang on, I'll try to balance my audio. I think that's not too bad. I don't know what volume they're going to talk at. I'll just boost that up. There you go. Oh, it'd be lovely if they could get to Mars, even just to make a, you know, just a scientific research station. But me, if you know, if I had to choose, I wouldn't even land on Mars. I'd land on one of the moons of Mars. So you don't need the extra delta V required to get down to the surface. Set up some sort of observatory on one of the moons, Demios or Phobos. Even trying to do a sample return from one of those moons, it yield a lot of information. Nobody even knows how they got there. They're a little hard to explain, and you could observatory, you could, you know, make a lot of long-term observations of Mars as well from there. I think that'd be more achievable than actually landing on Mars. There's a chance that the people will be able to actually come back, although I reckon the trip will be fatal. You know, this volume's gone up, isn't it? As long as my voice is still dominating, yeah, that's not too bad. Oh. And that was the easy bit.
Hello everyone and welcome to Starbase, Texas for the 11th flight test of the world's largest and most powerful reusable rocket, Starship. Today's flight marks our second reuse of a super heavy booster and what's expected to be the final launch of our second generation vehicle. I'm Amanda Lee, a build reliability engineer here at SpaceX.
And I'm Jake Berkowitz, a lead propulsion engineer on our SpaceX Raptor team. Today we're coming to you live from Star Factory, just under 2 miles away from the rocket on the pad. Right outside on the lawn, the crowd is starting to gather, and after liftoff, we expect that crowd to head back in to watch the rest of the launch with us and have a party.
And right behind us are
Well, the
three
party
generations
sounds
of
nice.
Raptor engines, the third of which we're looking to debut on the next generation of Starship. And we'll talk a little bit more about that upgraded rocket later in the program.
All right, 27 minutes.
Yeah, and if you watched Flight 10, you'll know it was a really, really good day for Starship. All objectives were met, and we got tons of great data to learn from. And today, we're looking to build on the success of that flight.
Yeah, that's right. Like in Flight 10, we're again planning to deploy Starlink simulator satellites as well as test the limits of ship's heat shield during reentry.
All right,
A
so
controlled
yeah, it's
descent,
pretty much the
flip
same
maneuver, and
profile
soft
as
splash
last
in the
time.
Indian Ocean are also planned for ship. And hopefully, our recovery team will be able to deliver some more of those amazing views that we got back on Flight 10.
Yeah, those views were just awesome. Another crazy thing, and for those of you keeping track, today actually marks the 1-year anniversary of our historic first ever booster catch. That was Booster 12. And even though we're not attempting a catch today, every time we launch a Starship, it's a big day. All right, so everyone, buckle up because maximum excitement is guaranteed.
All right.
And
Hey,
Dan
guy-
Hewitt joins us from over near Mission Control.
There's
Dan,
a
how are things
technical
looking for you
guy.
today?
Hey, Jake. Hey, Amanda.
I like
hey,
him.
everybody. We are looking great. I'm Dan Hewitt with SpaceX Communications. That's right. Right behind me is our Launch Control Center here at Starbase. Flight control team is on there. They're getting Starship and Super
It's
Heavy.
not nice to
ready
have a
for
familiar
liftoff.
voice.
So as you could tell, when we look at the vehicle, prop load is underway. Things are looking good. We did shift our T0 a little bit. We're tracking to 6:23 p.m. Central
Weather
Time,
looks
just
pretty
a couple
good,
minutes
too.
into our window. All right, so as we noted, back in August, Flight 10, it did all the things. Did all the things we wanted it to do. Started off with Super Heavy, those 33 Raptor engines igniting, lifting off right at the top of its window at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. It was able to do a successful ascent, followed that up with hot staging, Starship's upper stage igniting those 6 Raptor engines, separating Super Heavy, making its way back down. We saw the hot stage pop off. It then completed its boost back burn, put it on the course towards that splashdown zone. It successfully did that landing burn when we intentionally disabled one of those 3 center engines. During the final phase of that, used a backup engine, entered into its final hover, shut down the engines, and then splashed down into the water. Ship, meanwhile, completed full duration ascent burn, got to its planned velocity, successfully put it on that suborbital trajectory, and then it was on to the in-space stuff. That first in-space objective was completed. 8 of those Starlink simulators were deployed. That was the first successful payload demonstration we've ever had from Starship. Each of these simulators, similar in size to the V3 Starlinks that we're going to be launching next year to add significant capacity and capability to the network. Then it was
Satellite
on
launcher.
to our second
Isn't
ever
that
in-space
sweet?
relight of a Raptor engine. That's a key capability for when we're going to do deorbit burns on future orbital missions, and then when we're doing deep space maneuvers. Then on to the critical reentry phase, we're able to get data on the performance of that heat shield, the ship structure, push the envelope on it, using the flaps, got it down to the splashdown zone, did the landing flip, did the landing burn. Killer views from the recovery team. Soft splashdown over in the Indian Ocean. We were just about 3 meters off of our target.
It's a crash.
Pretty much nailed it. It was a huge day. Tons of excitement here at Starbase.
It even
Just
looks like a
reminder, though, it's
crash.
still the early days. I mean, we're on flight 11 today. There's a lot more we're going to do to get full reusability, increase our launch cadence, eventually start sending missions to the moon and Mars. I mean, we've got thousands of launches to come. But for now, we're looking good for launch. Toss it back down to Amanda and Jake.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Starship is the first orbital launch vehicle engineered to be fully reusable, just like a commercial airliner. In fact, to the end, we're actually
It's nothing
reflying
like a
Super Heavy
commercial
booster for the
airliner.
second time today. This booster
Nothing
last
like
flew
one.
on Flight 8. So let's just start with how powerful this rocket really is. When you stack Starship up against one of the world's biggest airplanes, the 747, a single Raptor engine.
I don't
can
hold out
actually
anything
double the
against those
thrust of
people.
all
They do.
4 airplane
They're
engines
paid
put
to do a
together.
job. They're
So
just
that
following
means
a
the Super
script.
Heavy over in the pad right now, with its 33
That's
Raptors,
fine.
is equal to the power of about 64 747s.
I'm only,
Yeah, that's
I'm
just
only
crazy,
going on
Amanda.
what they're actually
The power
saying.
this rocket generates is incredible. To be specific, it's over 16.7 million pounds of thrust. Numbers almost incomprehensible, but it's just crazy. All right, to break it down, Starship is made of two parts. First is the Super Heavy booster, which is powered by 33 of those Raptor engines that run on liquid methane and liquid oxygen. And second is the Starship upper stage, powered by 6 Raptor engines. 3 are optimized for sea level performance, and 3 are for vacuum performance with that larger nozzle extension. All right, it's the Starship's second stage that will one day carry cargo, payloads, and people all the way to Mars and beyond.
The Super Heavy
And
booster
beyond
is
now.
designed to launch, separate, flip, and return to the launch site where it can be caught by the chopsticks on the launch tower. However, as previously noted, we won't be attempting one of those catches today. Starship, on the other hand, re-enters the Earth's atmosphere at the conclusion of its mission, steering itself to a vertical landing or catch. And both stages are designed to return to Earth and fly again, making this the first rocket in history that will be fully reusable.
Yeah, and we cannot forget that between the two vehicles is the hot stage ring, a structure made of steel that allows the ship
I mean, I
engines to
invite
ignite
you
both steel and
to
faster, enabling a faster
compare
and more
this to
efficient stage
Apollo.
separation. Right now,
And
that
the-
hot stage ring is still used, but in the future,
progress they
it will
made
be
in
directly
Apollo,
to the V3
they-
booster forward end.
And
You know,
finally,
they-
the infrastructure
they had a
built to support
capsule
Starship is referred to as
on the
Stage Zero.
on
This
on their
includes
rocket.
The launch pads, tank farm, and the launch towers.
They did
that hold the
t-
chopsticks
test
that
flights
catch the
around the
Super Heavy
moon
booster
and stuff like
eventually
this.
will also catch the ship.
They had
Yeah, and to
people
get
in
us
the
ready for
rocket.
launch today, we recently conducted another static test fire.
You don't see any of that with this
Fire up the
system.
engines to mimic a launch without actually launching. We're seeing the booster on the screen right now. It's a crucial milestone to let us know we're ready to go. And then here we're seeing ship. We did this for the second time on a retrofitted mount on pad 1. We had a full 9-second duration burn on all 6 engines.
We should also note that today's launch on Pad 1 is intended to be the last launch on this pad in this configuration. As we head into the next generation Starship Flight Test program, we'll be modifying Pad 1 to meet the demands of our future missions.
Yeah, and among many other things, we're installing a new orbital launch mount, a new flame trench system, and upgrading the chopsticks for future catches. So until that's complete, we'll be running operations from Pad 2, which will be coming online very soon. All right, let's go over to Hawthorne, where Tyler is ready to talk a little Starlink.
Thank you, Jake and Amanda. My name is Tyler Lionquist, and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is SpaceX's low Earth orbit, high-speed internet that's bringing connectivity both on Earth and in space. So, Starship is outfitted again today with 4 Starlink terminals, powering those incredible live shots of ship in orbit, through re-entry, and then all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Now, we've had a couple of recent milestones that are worth celebrating. Back in September, we launched Starlink for its 300th time. And this summer, we surpassed 7 million active customers with service available across 150 countries and territories. We've come a really long way since turning on service for our first paying customer in rural Idaho 5 years ago, back in October of 2020.
Maples are looking beautiful.
I'm Wendy Layer. I live in Sandpoint, Idaho, and we are the first Starlink customers.
With Starlink, we didn't have to compromise on where we live due to the lack of technology.
The minute they turned it on, we could stream a movie, we could video chat, we could play games on the internet without a lot of lag. I changed jobs earlier this year, so now I actually have the ability to work remote.
Here's my house. Program runs on the cloud. I can send anything I want out to get prices and designs.
I like to bake, so I've been able to research recipes and try new things.
Good day, go for a walk. Good day,
Good day for a walk.
We can live very rural, and yet we are connected to anybody like in the city.
And I'm happy to report that Wendy and Sean are still Starlink customers today. So in just over 5 years, we've added dedicated services for aviation, maritime, RVs, and rail, and have expanded our emergency response capabilities. We've activated high-quality internet for millions of people, including those that live in some of the most remote places on Earth. Starlink is enabling rural school districts, counties, and tribal governments to offer online access to education, telemedicine, and many other critical services, in some cases for the first time ever. And yet, a third of the planet continues to go without access to reliable high-speed internet, so there's a lot more work for us to do. But Starlink was designed from the very beginning to meet these needs. And as each new version of Starlink comes online, the constellation's capacity and performance increases significantly. The larger V3 satellites that will deploy from Starship will bring gigabit connectivity to users and are designed to add 60 terabits per second of downlink capacity to the Starlink network. That's more than 20 times the capacity added with every V2 mini launch on the Falcon 9. And then on the cellular front, last month, SpaceX announced a deal that provides Starlink with exclusive spectrum for its next generation direct-to-cell satellites, which will be capable of providing broadband service to cell phones globally. Starlink is the largest 4G coverage provider on Earth. Over 7 million people across 5 continents already rely on Starlink to connect their LTE phones to data, voice, video, and messaging, where terrestrial service is unavailable. So we're excited to have the opportunity to help close those coverage gaps and ultimately eliminate mobile dead zones around the world. So yeah, there's a lot happening with Starlink, and there's a lot more to come. So let's head back to Amanda and Jake at StarBase to take us through today's flight profile.
Thank you so much, Tyler. So today's float profile, we're looking to get our second re-entry with this iteration of ship. And prior to every launch, we work closely with the FAA and international air traffic organizations to efficiently and safely integrate launch and re-entry operations into the airspace.
And we've got
Oh,
a
for
special
God's
guest
sakes.
here.
Hey.
We're live.
What's up, guys?
How's it going? Good to see you, boss.
Hi.
Hey. How's webcam?
Good. We're live right now.
What the?
Yeah. Getting ready for Flight
Wanna say
11.
hi?
How are you feeling for it?
Good. This is the first time that I'm going to be actually outside standing and watching the rocket. Because normally I'm in mission control and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But now I'll be standing out in the garden there.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it's really going to be much more visceral.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna feel
Great
it.
place
It's
to
Gonna
be.
watch
it's
the
gonna be-
launch,
it's gonna be
launch of his
awesome.
satellite launcher.
We'll be in here this time, but usually we're out there watching. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All
Good
right,
luck
Later.
and have fun.
Have fun.
All right, so that was an exciting cameo there. But yeah, starting with liftoff, we'll get into the flight profile here. Super Heavy will ignite 33 engines, 24 of which are flight proven today. We'll power through ascent ahead of hot stage separation, where booster will shut down all but 3 engines. Stage 2 lights its Raptor engines while still attached to Super Heavy. That is what we call hot stage separation. We'll see a directional booster flip and engine relight for boost back. And we'll be intentionally headed to a splashdown in the Gulf with a V3 style landing burn demonstration today.
Meanwhile, ship will continue with its ascent burn to a suborbital trajectory, where it will attempt to deploy 8 Starlink simulator satellites. And we're also planning to relight a single Raptor engine. Then it's time for a re-entry, where we're once again testing the limits of Starship's heat shield by intentionally removing tiles. The ship will also perform a pretty dynamic banking maneuver that mimics the path of a return to launch site for Ketch that will fly on a future mission. And if all that goes as planned, we'll conclude the test with a landing flip, burn, and soft water splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So definitely another action-packed flight profile, Dan.
Soft crash.
This is planned to be the final launch of this version of Starship, version number 2. Right
They-
now, we're
did they-
actively
is
building
that the way they
multiple
tested
next-generation V3 Starship and
airliners?
Super Heavy vehicles in the factory, kind of right behind us. So
They
let's take
drop
a
them
minute
into the
and
ocean.
chat a little bit. All right, there's going to be launching from Pad 2, which
That's
is
a war-
nearing
the
completion
warplanes.
down here at Starbase. Both the pad and the vehicles are going to roll in really
landed them.
significant changes. This is building on everything we've learned from all of these flight tests to make a vehicle that we're looking to mass produce. Starting with the Starship upper stage, which is going to look pretty similar on the outside, but it's getting pretty much a complete overhaul under the hood.
I don't know.
We're getting major
I
design
reckon they
changes
should have
to
just
the
tried to land the
system
thing in
that's gonna
Australia.
accommodate that new version of Raptor, which puts out higher thrust.
We'd be
We're
good
also
at
getting
we'd be
an
good with
energy
that.
storage upgrades, tons of avionics changes, a lot of things that will enable.
That's right. Video bomb by
On
Elon.
the outside are these new docking adapters, which we'll use when we
Yeah, I'm
bring
sure
two
it was,
Starships
together
for propellant
totally
transfer.
unscripted and
That's a
unrehearsed.
core capability of Starship that we're going to demonstrate next year. Bottom line, though, this is the Starship we're planning to use for all of our next major
Well, this is a
milestones,
computer
orbital
simulation.
missions,
It'd be
return
nice to
to
actually
launch
see
site
them
and
do
catch,
it.
reuse, propellant transfer, and then making our way to the moon and Mars. Now, Super Heavy, we've shown some of this off, some of this hardware already coming out of the factory. It has upgrades like this, a redesigned fuel transfer tube. That thing's roughly the same size as the first stage of a Falcon 9 rocket. That channels all that cryogenic fuel down to Super Heavy's 33 engines. We made it bigger. It's basically a rocket inside of our rocket that gives us a faster, more reliable flip and simultaneous engine startup. New booster also going to have an integrated hot stage, a lot more vent area, and it's designed to be fully reusable. Pressure from those engine plumes gets vented out, mostly offset just by the pressure in the fuel tank. That is the top of the fuel tank. And then we add a non-structural layer of steel on the top that helps take all the heating. It's mapped to where all the high heating goes. Grid fins also getting a big change, going from 4 down to 3. They're 50% larger though, much higher strength. They're also going to get used for vehicle lift and catch. That's all made possible. There's a new catch point addition on those grid fins. We've also kind of reclocked their position on the booster. That aligns them with the catch arms. Yeah, we got it right in the middle there. All right, and then powering it all, Raptor 3. Looks radically different, just straight up radical. Tons of major changes. It's coming in higher thrust, dramatic reduction in parts, tons of control mechanisms moved inside. Our McGregor teams built some additional stands like this one, which essentially is the bottom of a super heavy booster. Lets us do gimbal or steering tests. So that's been really exciting to see. We've also been getting vacuum versions of Raptor 3 into test. The first flight engines are already in production and are about to start acceptance testing for Flight 12. So a lot of exciting changes coming, and we're getting ready to mass produce everything, including one of the really key contributors to that rapid reusability, the heat shield tiles. Let's jump over to Tyler real quick in Hawthorne, who's got a really cool look at what's happening with tiles in Florida.
Thank you, Dan. Indeed, Starship's heat shield is the linchpin to full and rapid reusability. We can't launch, land, refuel, and launch again if we have to spend months refurbishing the heat shield after every launch, like they did.
Well, I'm glad everyone's having a good time.
So, in a future where Starship
I don't
is flying
begrudge them
several
that.
times a day, many thousands of heat shield
I'm sure
tiles
I'd be
will
there if I
required.
had the opportunity.
So yeah, we need to get cooking on those tiles, which is exactly what's happening inside the fully automated bakery down at the Cape. In just 3 years, tile production at the bakery has surpassed the total number of tiles produced during the 30 years of the shuttle program. To go from the raw material to a finished tile, it takes about 40 hours. And today, the bakery is producing about 1,000 tiles a day. But it's set up to produce enough tiles for 10 ships per month, which is about 7,000 tiles a day, or a tile off the line every 13 seconds. So yeah, the bakery is well on its way to providing Starship with all the tiles for missions to Mars and beyond. And for today's flight, we've made a modification to the heat shield tiles. Dan, do you mind filling us in on what's being referred to as the Crunchwrap tile?
Absolutely. I always love to get to do a little show and tell. So we've got thousands of these heat shield tiles covering Starship. Now they're kind of all next to each other. There's a small gap in between all of them. You got to leave a little bit of space as that metal underneath will expand and contract. That way they don't crunch into each other and start breaking. However, that lets some of that plasma kind of seep through, and we see really high
you're not
heating on
wrong.
the sides and then down on the metal. To help fix that, we have this, the crunch wrap that everyone has heard about. So we take essentially that's called Vulcan felt that we then wrap around. And so as these tiles are next to each other, you've got a small bit in between that's going to help offset that heating. It's just one of the ways we're continuing to iterate on this heat shield, getting towards rapid reusability. Hopefully it's going to help Starship live Moss. You know, everything is just going to get us to that end state of a fully and rapidly reusable vehicle. So pretty much the entire vehicle has those on it today. We've done this on multiple Starships previously, but this time pretty much the whole vehicle has it. So that was special for today. All right, enough heat shield tiles. Let's go quick check-in on the pad. So if you did notice, we did shift our T0 just a little bit. We're now counting down to 6:23 and 41 seconds Central Time. We shifted a little bit as we were working to finish clearing the range. We are monitoring sea and airspace both here over the Gulf and
It looks
in
like a lovely
our,
day, actually.
splashdown location over on the Indian Ocean. We were working with the FAA, a lot of other international agencies to coordinate all of this. Good news, range is currently green. We're able to get everything out of the way that we are tracking in the Gulf. So weather status, I don't even really need to do. Not a cloud in the sky, beautiful day, no probability of violation for launch at this point. We're not currently tracking any issues on the vehicle or the pad. You can see our fill levels are getting up there. We're almost completely done with our propellant loading. We've gone through all of our checkouts so far this morning, aligning our guidance, navigation, and control system, getting the vehicles ready for prop load, the farm. Everything's gone pretty smoothly so far. We got through our go, no go for prop load. That happens at T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes. We've been loading fuel and locks on board the ship since about 53 minutes before launch. Booster started just about 10 minutes after that. We continue loading prop until just around 3 minutes before liftoff, and then at that point we'll be ready to go. So Bottom line at the moment, we're looking real good. Again, 6:23 and 41 seconds Central Time is our target T0, so we're going to keep counting down.
Sounds like great news so far. Thank you, Dan. And we do say it repeatedly because it's important to understand, but these flight tests are all about the data. Data helps us build and fly faster until we're eventually ready to fly people and cargo at scale to Mars. That is our foundational mission and basically just the major inspiration for our work here every day.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Amanda. And our first missions to the Red Planet are just down the road, and we recently shared some exciting news. Starship cargo flights to the Martian surface for research, development, and exploratory missions begin in 2030, and we already have our first customer.
Yeah, exactly. Starship is open for business, and one of the first payloads
Another
will be
5
provided by the
years.
Italian Space Agency. They recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the initial Starship missions that deliver customer payloads to Mars. In related news, Starship cargo flights to the surface of the Moon for research, development, and exploratory missions will start in 2028. So a ton of Starship activity to look forward to, and if you'd like to learn more
3
about our
years.
mission to making humanity multiplanetary, go ahead and visit spacex.com/Mars. Okay, now as we get closer to launch, development continues down here at STARBASE, Texas, to shape this growing city into a truly unique place to live and work. And part of being a city, particularly one surrounded by nature, is environmental stewardship. The nearby Boca Beach dunes have unfortunately been eroding at an alarming rate for some time, so SpaceX is teaming up with Cameron County and the city of STARBASE to stop that erosion and hopefully preserve the beach for years to come.
Yeah, and as one of its first permanent residents and someone who's actually called Starbase home for over 3 years now, I can tell you the beach totally adds to the uniqueness and awesomeness of living here. Starbase is truly unlike any other place on Earth. You know, where else can you see the world's biggest rocket every single day?
Yeah, Starbase is definitely the place to be, and we're always looking for more people to come help build the future of spaceflight.
Yeah, particularly engineers, especially for our propulsion and mechanical system teams.
You could be working on tests just like these ones, proving out the designs of our next generation Super Heavy booster. Fun fact, we actually tested the booster to 13,400 tons of thrust, which is more than the power of 3.5 Saturn V rockets, which is just crazy. We're also looking for civil and structural engineers to help literally build the future.
Whether it's buildings like the Gigabays currently going up at both Starbase and the Cape, each is a massive vertical integration and assembly facility with over 700,000 square feet of workspace. Both sites are currently in progress, actually going vertical as we speak. Or you could be designing the Starship launch sites of the future. There's really no shortage of future to build here. So visit spacex.com/careers to see all of our openings if you're interested.
Okay, now as we head into terminal count, all eyes are on the rocket. Dan, how are we looking? Are we green?
Amanda, we are so green. Everything's still looking really good. So we've got a green range, not
Oh,
tracking
that's
any
good.
blockers there to launch. We're continuing to load prop on board the vehicle. We're just about to close out, so we'll close out, again, just about 3 minutes and 20 seconds before liftoff. We'll close out on ship, and then booster just about 30 seconds later. And then you end up with about 11 million pounds of liquid propellant on board those two stages. After we're fully loaded on the vehicle, the pad itself gets ready for launch. We do what's called pushbacks. We clear all that prop out of the lines in the tower and the feed system back into the tanks to get ready for launch. And then in the next couple of minutes, we're going to do our final GNC guidance, navigation, and control system alignment. We're going to arm the automatic flight safety system, and then we're going to do final kind of wiggle checks on the steering for the engines, which we might be able to catch a quick peek at as we get closer to those. If we need to hold, which we are not currently tracking a reason to, that would happen at T-minus 40 seconds. It's built into our countdown. We can pause and wait there for any final checkouts, anything that we need to hold for.
Once we pass that T-minus 40 seconds, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, and ship switches to internal power. After that, the quick disconnect arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. Now, once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, if any problems come up, we do still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened and then see if we can proceed again to liftoff.
Yep. However, once the water for the deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds, any issue after that would be an automatic
Well,
scrub for the day,
I
as
think
teams would need to refill the deflector's water
it's looking
tanks
good,
as well as the
which
propellant storage tanks at the tank farm before making
yeah,
another
I
attempt.
think if they scrub the launch
All right,
today,
we
I
are
don't
coming up on
I don't think I'm
3
going to do
minutes
this again.
away from launch. You can see the frost line all the way up. We've just closed out prop load.
Just thinking I've got something else I've got to
the
do
ship
tomorrow
booster
morning.
coming up shortly.
So let's hope it all works.
Yeah, in about 10 seconds we'll finish loading prop on the booster, and then again we'll have about 11 million pounds of that liquid
It's
oxygen,
looking pretty good, though.
liquid methane on board the vehicles. Not currently tracking a reason to hold at T-minus 40. It can pop up at the last moment or after we pass that gate. We can always hang out there for a couple of minutes if we need to. We do have some extra time. We're not constantly topping off the propellant in these vehicles.
Just
so
like an
we have
airline, eh?
About a 7-8 minute window where we can
Just
wait
like a jetliner.
for any final issues to clear. We're not currently tracking a reason to hold there. Again, our range continues to be green.
They
As
can
we look
only
at sea
they
and
can only
airspace,
hold
both
the
out
hold the
over
flight for a
Gulf
couple of minutes, and
and in our
then
re-entry
they got to
zone
shut it all
out
down
in the
again.
Indian Ocean.
Not like a jetliner at all.
All right, 2 minutes, 15 seconds to go. A lot of things on tap for Flight 11. Planned to be the last launch of this version of Starship and Super Heavy. Once
Yeah, I think
again,
it's
we're
gonna be the
really
last one this
focused
year.
on getting ship over to reentry. Once we get to that phase, we're going to dive in. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's going to be happening on our way back through and down to the ground, hopefully out in the Indian Ocean. Minute 45. Should hopefully
There's
be
the
seeing.
engines. Yep, there we go.
There's a quick wiggle
They're
check.
wiggling.
Checking out the thrust vector control, the steering on the booster. We
So I
use
think
those
the outer
standard
rings
13
are
engines,
fixed.
doing their one final dance before the big show. And we'll do that one more time after we cross that T-minus 40 gate. All right, range continues to be green. Still not tracking any issues on vehicle or pad. 1 minute to go.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone anywhere near it.
As a
I
reminder,
think it's all
we can
the final
we can hold at
stuff is done
T-minus 40. We're not planning to.
remotely. So I think they sort of clear the area before they launch it. Can't imagine that there's anyone anywhere around there at all.
All right. We're through T-minus 40.
Nowhere would be
Let's listen
safe.
in. Flight Director Ty Huntington back in the seat. Take us through the final.
All right,
seconds.
we've gone through 40 seconds. Looks like we're on.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Go Super Heavy. Go Starship. Thanks for all the historic flights, Pad 1.
Gee, it's a big rocket. Big rocket.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
It's starting the gravity turn.
Booster Raptor chamber pressure nominal.
Booster and ship, nominal power and telemetry.
All right, we are about 45 seconds into flight. We're still getting the rattle here at Star Factory. We are seeing 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on Super Heavy as it
Yeah,
arcs
you're losing the
across
engines
Gulf.
this time.
Coming up next on Max Q.
Max
All right,
Q.
so So at this point, we
A little bit of
passed through
tape
that
just flapping
period of
around there.
maximum aerodynamic pressure. The
bit of
next
duct
thing we're
tape.
looking forward to is going to be hot staging. So we've got 33 out of 33 Raptors lit. Super Heavy
that's
makes
the
its
thing.
way
The
uphill.
their
Hot
imageries,
staging is
the
going to be
cameras and
coming
that are
up,
too good. You
in
can see all
just a
the
little over a
all the
minute. At that point,
grotty
we're
bits on
going
the
to
rocket.
see all but 3 of those Raptor engines on Super Heavy shut down. Our version of MECO, most engines cut off instead of main engine. And then after that, we're going to release the clamps that are currently holding Starship to that hot stage adapter. It's then going to ignite its 6 Raptor engines to push it away from Super Heavy and then start making its flight uphill. So in about 30 seconds, we're going to see the engines start to shut down on Super Heavy. You'll see them kind of shut off in separate banks until we've just got those 3 center engines that never stop running for this process, and then looking for 6 ship Raptors. All right. MECO coming up in about 10 seconds.
We're getting back to MECO, are we? Yeah, I was just having a look at my OBS. This is the first time I've attempted this live stream in 1440.
Booster engine cut off.
There we go.
Ship ignition.
Their display's a little bit out of sync. There we go.
Stage separation.
Use back burn startup.
Oh, they lost an engine. Was that on purpose?
All right, successful hot staging maneuver. So we've got 12 of the 13 engines lit back up on boosters, so it's doing its boost back. Real excitingly,
Ship
though,
chamber
we've got
pressure's
6
nominal.
out of 6 Raptors lit on ship there, so it's now going to continue to make its ascent into outer space. Meanwhile, this boost back is happening. We're using those 13 engines, so everything, well, 12 out of the 13, and then we go down to 3, and then we're going to shut down for the end of boost back. That's sending Super Heavy back towards its planned splashdown zone in the Gulf. Right after we finish this boost back burn, we're also going to separate the hot stage. This will be the final time
Boost back
that
burn
we're
shut
doing
down.
this. Is all right, there's the end of the boost back burn. We should be seeing the hot stage. There. So the hot stage separates. It's going to make its way down, also splash down in the Gulf. In the meantime, though, these 6 ship Raptors are going to continue firing for about 5 more minutes. Next up for the booster, though, is going to be its landing burn. There's a cool tracking shot. We dumped some of the
Very
prop out
nice,
on our way
very
back
nice.
in. All right, so for booster, this is one of the main things we're trying to get is going to be this landing burn. Oh, that's so you can see the hot stage kind
It's
of
obviously
making its
taken
way
with
towards the
a
very
telescope
left
on
side.
the
So that's
Earth
bottom
or
of the
from a
booster.
chase
It's about to
plane,
pass
maybe.
right in front of where you can see some of that prop dump happening. They look like they're close together, but there's a good amount of distance between them, and the hot stage will go down and splash down in the Gulf while the booster comes back for its landing burn.
Yeah, they're
Starship is on nominal
chill the
trajectory.
engines again.
All right. Looking good on our trajectory, looking good on everything. Jake and Amanda, you guys with me down there?
Yeah, definitely. The crowd is gathering over here in the office. You can definitely feel the energy in here. Great to see that booster is making its way down to the splashdown zone in the Gulf.
Yeah, the shaking down here was absolutely nuts. The windows are still there, still intact, so that was pretty awesome. But yeah, booster's coming down. We're at about 30
Booster
kilometers.
FTS
About.
saved.
All right, yeah, and as we approach that landing, just like tower catches, we will be doing a 13-engine landing burn to slow down. This time it will be in a V3 configuration. And as we're starting to get into the denser part of the atmosphere,
Using
the booster
rocket
is
engines as
using
a
4
heat
hypersonic
shield.
fins to guide itself through atmospheric entry towards its landing site.
And we're just
Ship
about
chamber
20
pressure's
seconds
nominal.
away
Nominal.
from landing burn start, where we'll first ignite the center 13 engines, then bring that down to 5 to slow down the booster for landing. And finally, that will come down to 3, and we'll cut all of them off while we're still about 200 meters in the air. So
There we go.
booster is going to see a bit of a harder thing.
Booster landing burn startup.
Yeah, they're a little bit out of sync there. I thought I saw a fire then.
Booster landing burn shutdown.
And there we heard it. Booster landing burn shutdown. We saw a 13 to 5 to 3 V3 demonstration.
Crash.
And into the water we go.
Yeah.
Wow, that was absolutely awesome. If you can even hear us right now, congrats to the whole SpaceX team. So far, so good for today. That was incredible.
All right, great stuff, guys. I'm jealous of the crowd. All right, back to ship. Ship's still making its way. We've got a little under 2 minutes left in this ascent burn, so we've got all 6 Raptor engines still firing. So
Yeah,
the next major milestone we're going to be
trajectory's
looking for
almost
is
flat.
SECO. That's our second stage engine cutoff. That's should be coming right at about 8 minutes and 58 seconds into flight, so we've got about 1:20 still to go. Really cool to see Booster go through that landing burn. That was one of our really key demonstrations we wanted to try and do today. That's mimicking what we're going to be hopefully doing. Oh, we just got our sonic boom, sounds like, from the booster coming back. All right, less than a minute to go. So we are going to see the 3 RVACs, the vacuum optimized engines, shut down first, and then we'll shut down those 3 center engines. So we should be a little under a minute until SECO. Just a reminder, this is putting us into a suborbital trajectory, so we're intentionally just going slow enough that we're not going to achieve full orbit. This puts us on a course where those engines shut off, and no matter what, we're coming back.
Starship is in
landing
terminal
zone
guidance.
in the Indian Ocean. All right, terminal guidance. So we should start seeing the shutdowns come up in just a couple seconds. Less than 30 seconds to go in this ship ascent burn.
All over in under
RVACs
10
have
minutes.
shut off.
There we go.
3 more to go.
Ship engine cutoff.
Right. Nothing blew up. You can see the door to the
All ship Raptors
the
have
set-
shut
Nominal
down.
orbit insertion.
the Pez dispenser there.
You just heard nominal orbital insertion, so we are on the path that we wanted to be. So we've got a ship back in space, a whole lot planned for it, lots more still to come. Great seeing Super Heavy make its way to the water, but I'm excited to see what ship can do in space. How's everybody doing down there?
Okay, it's still slowly gaining in altitude. It'll do that and then it'll reverse. The speed will slow down,
Yeah,
the
if you could hear
altitude
the
will
crowd behind us this
increase,
whole
and then
time,
when it
people are
reaches the
definitely
top
happy with how the day's been
of its
panning out so
trajectory,
far.
the
Definitely
altitude will
exciting
start
see
to
Starship
drop and the
safely in
speed will
space,
start to
and
increase
super pumped to
again.
see all the team's hard
So
work in
that's
action
how
here
you can
today.
tell that they've reached the
Yeah, we guaranteed it at the
top of
start
their
the
orbit.
show, but it has been an awesome day so far.
The
It's crazy.
what
All
they
this has
call
happened in just 10 minutes.
apogee.
All the objectives
or
were
the
met in the booster,
apoapsis, if you
including
prefer
that
that
V3
term.
style landing burn. So now all eyes are on the ship as we get ready for our in-space objectives. But we've got a few minutes until that next milestone, so sit tight, enjoy the views, enjoy the space jams. We'll be back at T plus 16 minutes for payload deploy.
All right, we're coasting. Well, they lost one engine on the boost back burn. There's a bit of, yeah, on the boost back burn. On the landing burn, it seemed a little bit, I think it was just the way that they were displaying on the overlay. It's not necessarily exactly reality, you know. clearly their script was out of sync with the overlay. So they were just following a script, clearly. Or there was a delay somewhere. Maybe there was a delay on updating the overlay, perhaps. Who knows? It doesn't really matter, I mean. There was that case where the commentators were talking about the rocket, and the rocket blew up, and they were still talking about it like it was perfectly fine. So clearly, it was sort of a pre-recorded thing. They got caught out by that one. Don't worry, the people who needed to know hit the ownership were doing their job, I'm sure. Not worried about what the people talking on the live stream were saying. Well, we're just going to have to see what they come up with next year. This is the last one. Yeah, I reckon it's the last flight for this year. It's the last one of this series as well. The prototypes. So to see what the next prototype looks like. Oh, there we go. We're seeing some something. Not really sure what we're seeing there. You'd think they'd be out in the ocean. They must be looking back towards the United States. They seem to be like city lights or something. Okay, they're changed. The attitude of the ship's changing quite fairly quickly, actually. Not tumbling, is it? I hope not. It's just changing its attitude. Yeah, because they launched it at dusk. So if they're flying east, they're flying into darkness. So they're flying into darkness and they'll fly into light again. Because they wanted to time it so it lands in the Indian Ocean sometime in the morning, Australia time, so they can actually see what's happening as it comes down. All right, that all makes sense. Yeah, they're out over the Atlantic now. Yeah, we just have to see what happens next year. Yeah, I want to see, well, other than I want to see them land the first stage like they promised. I mean, we know they can land the booster because they've done it, but that's the easy part because, oh, there's a better display. That's much nicer. Okay, they've tilt my neck over slightly, my head over slightly. I can see what's going on there. Yeah, but landing the booster, that was the easy part because it has a lot less kinetic energy in it than the first stage does. The first stage is traveling very quickly indeed, so you got to slow it back down again. It's a that looked like a thunderstorm. Yeah, it's flickering. There must be a thunderstorm activity below them. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's what was glowing. There's a high level cloud there or something. Oh, somebody will work it out. Somebody will work it out.
All right, welcome back, everybody. If you're just now joining us, where the heck were you? But we are getting ready for payload deploy. That's going to start once we get the payload door open. That should be happening, or at least starting, within the next minute or so. It's been a really cool flight so far.
There we go.
Quick
See,
look inside
the interior
payload.
is
We've
empty.
got 8 Starlink simulators getting ready to make their way
Yeah,
into
take
outer
note.
space.
The interior is empty.
But
It's an empty ship.
great flight so far. Booster able to make it all the way to its splashdown and landing burn experiments.
Can't
so
see
that was
any
really
cabins
exciting to
there.
see. We got ship on orbit, nominal orbital.
It's going to be a rough
insertion,
ride
so
for the
we're right in
passengers sitting
line
on
with
top of the
this
satellite
trajectory.
dispenser.
Now we're ready to start tackling a couple of in-space objectives. So next up, we are currently venting down the nose cone, essentially the payload area of Starship, as we get ready to open up this payload door. We were able to do this successfully for the very first time on our last flight, on Flight 10.
Yeah, they've opened the door.
Hal got ahead of me. Looks like he's opening up the payload door already.
Oh, you're a little bit off script there, mate. Sorry. Yeah, because it's just remember it's dark outside. That's why the
All right,
picture
looks like
looks
we got the door
a bit
open.
crappy. Yeah, landing the
All right, so payload door is open. Next,
landing
up, gonna be
the
to
ship is
start
going to be interesting
deploying
because it's
these
got so
Starlink
much more
simulators.
kinetic energy in it. That's what I want to see. I want to see them actually land the
They
ship.
are roughly the same size.
Or catch it
as
or do
the
whatever it is that they're
V3
planning
Starlink
to do.
satellites that Starship's going to be carrying. That's going to add some pretty crazy capacity. We'll run through the numbers in a little bit.
Let's see
We
if
were
they can
able to
actually
do
get a
this for the
catch
very
to
first
happen
time ever on our
in
last flight, and
2026.
so this will be another test.
If
We
they
made a
don't run
couple
out of
of
money
tweaks
before
to
then.
to the rails for deploying this based off of what we saw last time. But excited to see these get out the door. Our next iteration of Starship's also going to have kind of a more powerful PEZ. It's going to deploy
A more
these at a little
powerful
bit faster
satellite
speed.
launcher.
But
When are you going to the moon,
to
buddy?
see our next demonstration of this, hopefully in the next couple of seconds, we should start seeing them move out the door.
See, this is what's going to make them money. It's launching,
I mean, that
launching
view on your
these
left,
satellites.
So you're basically that would be if you were sitting at the very top of the nose cone looking down. So there's kind of a short stack. There's 4 on either side, so 8 total.
They've already been
when we
paid to
start
go to the
flying
moon.
Starlinks, for their actual deploy missions, we're going to be carrying stacks of about 60. So much larger stack once we start flying these operationally, but still doing a little bit of a short just for this payload deployed today.
When did something happen?
Looks like we got a little bit of movement there, Dan.
And everyone cheers.
Coax it out. Get it moving, Jake.
There we go. All right.
And everyone cheers.
Going out. All right, first one's deployed. Getting ready for the second one here. We do a little reset back to the center position.
Yeah, it takes about a minute for each one.
Well, congratulations. You're launching satellites, something which they did in the 1960s.
Tweaks to those rails. If you watched the last ones, it had a couple of bumps on the way out, but moving out super clean this time.
Yeah, if you can
Yeah, and as noted earlier
get
in
the
the
thing
show, but
jammed.
definitely worth repeating, Starship will deploy Starlink's more advanced V3 satellites, adding 60 terabits per second of capacity to the network per launch. So that's 20 times more than each Falcon 9 launch does today. Just incredible.
Yeah, and anybody that's been following Starship, you know Starlink's kind of the MVP for these flight tests, where it's not only giving us the views we're seeing right now, but also just real-time data through every phase of flight. So we've got a couple dozen cameras on Starship. We've also got a bunch of cameras spread across the globe, including out in the Indian Ocean, where we've got our fun buoys floating. There goes another one. And I mean, we're using Starlink to bring all of this together. It's our drone shots you see here from our great team down here at STARBASE, all connected. So Starlink not only giving us cool views off the planet, but also on the planet, help bring everybody along for all these Starship flights. I think that's number 4. Somebody check my math. Yeah, we've got 4 Starlink terminals on the outside of Starship. It uses that to talk to the constellation. And through that, we actually get about 120 megabits of bandwidth for our downlink. That's our real-time HD video, all of our telemetry. So it's not just kind of giving us these cool views inside, but it's giving all that engineering data in real time, including re-entry when normally a plasma layer builds up and blocks you out. Starlink, powerful enough of a frequency that we're able to kind of punch through that and still get that live view. All right, next one out the door. There we go.
Well, that door's too small for any astronaut to fit through.
All right, yeah, Starlink is the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth orbit to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet. This provides internet access to people around the world, many of who have never had connectivity before. Oh. Right. Today, Starlink serves more than 150 countries, territories, and other markets with over 7 million active customers and counting. To meet the global growing demand for high-speed internet, SpaceX expanded its factory over in Bastrop, Texas, which is just outside of Austin, and also introduced Starlink Mini as well as an upgraded version of the Starlink standard kit.
Going up. It hasn't reached the top yet.
Yeah, and one thing to note about this satellite deploy is that they will be following the same suborbital trajectory of the ship. So these dummy sats will not be going in orbit. We do expect them to burn up on re-entry.
Yeah. They end up as junk in the Indian Ocean as well.
All right, couple more to go. I promise one of these days we'll deploy in daylight. But we're basically trading deploy in the dark so we get those re-entry views for the daytime.
At least I won't have to do this again tomorrow morning.
More to go.
What are they cheering about?
All right, now with payload deploy complete, Starship will now close its payload door and continue to coast around Earth to the Indian Ocean. We still have a ton of major events to come today, including Raptor Relight at about
Yeah, I think they're already dropping in altitude now. So I expect the speed to start to increase. Yeah, the speed's increasing. Yeah, they've already reached apogee.
And splashdown. So with that, we're going to go on another quick coast.
The United States has become a scary place, you know. Close the door. Open the bay door, Hal.
All right, with that payload door closed, we're going to sit tight, enjoy the views, and enjoy the space jams. Again, we'll be back in just a few minutes for Raptor relay and then head back for reentry.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much to circularize this orbit from here. It's still a fairly low orbit. They got up to about 192 kilometers. That's considered a low Earth orbit, of course. I guess it's high enough to go to the moon. But I'll say it again, they're not demonstrating, it's not a moon rocket. They're not even testing anything about going to the moon with these flights. Nothing, not a sausage. They're demonstrating to somebody that they can launch satellites. Dummy ones, 6. I think you can understand why I'm feeling cynical. Just don't know if so yeah, get focus back. Don't know if they'll find out what's going or not tonight. Today. Doesn't look like it. I love the displays though. The displays are excellent. You can see Africa there and you can see Madagascar. At least on the overlay anyway. But if they're going to land, this sucker back at Boca Chica, it's got to go all the way around. It's going to come in over. It'll actually be heading north again by the time it gets there. It's going to go over Mexico, and I think it's Arizona. I think somebody's saying it's going to go over Arizona before it actually. That's where it'll be re-entering. It'll be re-entering over the United States. That's going to be interesting. I mean, it has been done before, but usually they do it out in the Pacific Ocean or something. You know, plenty of space if something goes wrong. Oh, of course the space shuttle, but the space shuttle, you know, it was basically an aeroplane. It could fly to different places. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's next year. If they get it, one assumes that they'll at least get that far. Although a year's a long time. See, what puzzles me is who's paying for all of this stuff? Where's the money coming from? I've never been able to figure that out. I mean, NASA gave them some money to land on the moon, but I think they're burning cash quicker than that. Private company, they don't have to tell anybody. I'm not saying that their IP is worthless. It's just that the aspirational stuff is just silly. I think they've got a good engine there. You can sell that engine to other people. I got my doubts about the upper stage though. I think it's too heavy. I reckon they'll go to some lighter material, aluminium or titanium or carbon composite or something like that, not steel. Because all we've got so far is an empty upper stage that's managed to launch six dummy satellites. So it's not even, at this point in time, it's not even a very successful satellite launcher. I don't care how much the crowds cheer. It doesn't change reality. You know, in the Apollo program, they pretty much got they got a human into a capsule pretty much as soon as they could. I guess that was Mercury. I don't know if there was there anything before Mercury. I think it was Mercury was sitting on top of a modified ballistic missile. I'd have to look up all the details again, but there's Mercury, then Gemini, and then Apollo. But, you know, they got a person. Well, I mean, as much for PR reasons as anything else, I guess. But they got a. You don't see any human beings riding on this vessel. Oh, I think we're in for a long wait. See, at one point in time, they said they're going to be doing 25 flights in 2025. So that would have been roughly once a test flight every second week. And you'd be able to track the progress fairly quickly. But clearly they haven't done that. They haven't even done one a month. Somebody said, "Oh, don't worry about that. Look at their manufacturing facilities that they're building." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, fair enough." But you know, I look at what they're building. Not their capabilities, but what they're actually building. It doesn't really impress me. You know, if they want their airline analogy, which it's totally not a jet airliner. They'd have to land the thing and then they'd have to turn it over, you know, in an hour or a couple of hours or something, and send it back into space again. No, they haven't achieved anything like that. No, it's a silly analogy anyway. It's not a jet airliner. Is it going over Africa now? Not much to see yet. It's too dark.
Alright, welcome back everyone. If you're just joining us, you did miss some exciting stuff because Starship successfully deployed its second ever payload, 8 Starlink simulator satellites. And now we're expecting
I wouldn't call that a payload.
Sea-level Raptor engine in space coming up here just after T plus 37 minutes. So about a minute left to go.
Yep. just a little while. I think we're tracking to 37 in around.
So they're gonna do a
49
test
seconds or so.
firing of the
So we
engines,
should be just about a minute and a half.
but
Where
they're not going to do
again,
any
there's advantages that
maneuvering.
we're
They're
gonna
just
relight one of
just
those
testing the
center
engines.
This will be the third time that we've tried this. We did it successfully back on Flight 10, and then we did it for the very first time back on Flight 6. This is not a deorbit burn. This is demonstrating essentially all of the systems you would need to do a deorbit burn. So that's obviously your Raptor engine, and then also your header tanks, your smaller tanks in the nose cone, where we have liquid oxygen, liquid methane in a smaller, more easily pressurized container, which we can use for on-orbit burns. And we're also going to tap into those when we do our landing burn. So this will be a critical capability. Once we go to full orbital missions, you'll have to do a deorbit burn to break out of orbit, send it back down to Earth. But in this instance, we're already on our way back down towards Earth. So this is just going to demonstrate the capability of turning one of these engines on. We should be coming up in just about 20 seconds or so, looking for one of those Raptor engines to turn back on. They've been off since we completed that successful ascent burn.
There you go. You
30
can see.
minutes ago.
You can see something. Probably another storm.
Here we go.
Oh, Raptor ignition. And shutdown.
All right, there was that Raptor relight. Looks
Probably just snow.
full duration.
Yeah,
As
big,
Dan mentioned, that's a third attempt, and we
Probably just
did it
ice,
3
don't worry
times
about
in
it.
a row. So congrats to the
Didn't look
team.
like a piece of the ship.
Raptor team.
nothing blew up that I could see.
Very hard. Nominal second orbital insertion. All right, so congrats everyone on the milestone. That was awesome to
Something
see.
did blow up in the
Great.
engine bay during
We're
the
gonna
last
take another break, and
re-entry.
We'll be back for re-entry at about T plus 45 minutes. We'll see you soon.
Okay, about 6 or 7 minutes from now. Yeah, definitely coming down. So it's gone from 192 kilometres to about 138 kilometres. Now the atmosphere nominally starts at about 100 kilometres, and if you think that's a nice round figure, you're totally correct. There is no the atmosphere. Oh, look at that! The atmosphere just does. It's like a bushfire or something. Interesting.
Starship is slewing for entry.
It could be people burning. Could be a bushfire. The atmosphere just doesn't start. It just slowly peters out. It actually goes a lot higher than that, to be honest. Even the International Space Station, which is a lot higher, experiences drag. They've got to boost it again occasionally. Well, they're going over that part of Africa. It's springtime. Interesting. Yeah, it was quite bright, whatever it was. And pretty much got the sensitivity of the cameras cranked right up. It's going to pick up a few strange things. Yeah, it's coming in sort of belly first. Okay, that's the plasma starting to glow there, I think, from the re-entry. So we're still well above 100 kilometers. It's not actually friction that causes the heating. It's actually the compression. The shock wave, the compression of the air in front of the craft, because it's just traveling so quickly, the air can't get out of the way. So it's getting compressed all the way down, and that's actually what causes the heating. It's not friction. That's an interesting thing. And even though it's incredibly thin, even at this point 123 kilometers, it's glowing. It's, you know, like he said, it's a plasma. Yeah, really got the camera cranked up.
Starship is approaching entry interface.
Going over Madagascar.
Ship is starting entry, good attitude.
All right, welcome back, everyone. The ship is currently re-entering Earth's atmosphere. As a reminder, we don't plan to recover the spacecraft today, but rapid and reliable reusability is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, the light show has already begun. You can see plasma starting to build on the windward side of the rocket there. And, you know, reentry is a critical phase of flight, and we need information on how the ship systems perform. Reentry is also extremely demanding portion of flight because we need the ship to scrub off all of the energy we used to launch the rocket. So remember the 33 engines plus the 6 engines on ship that we used to get up into space, we now are using aerobraking essentially to scrub off all that energy.
A lot of kinetic
Starlink
energy.
is a big part of this, giving us the views we have right now, and also letting us gather as much data as possible, which again is really the main reason why we do these flights. And the view we have right now is actually a really good example. As we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, we have some tiles on the leeward side of the flaps here, and we have some different mechanisms, some stud out, basically to see if these tiles will hang on. And you know, we can see already here, it looks like we kept most of them, but I think I see a couple there that are no longer there. So The thermal team is definitely going to be digging into that and taking that data to help us iterate on V3. So yeah, Starlink provides us with one more path to collect data and help us rapidly iterate Starship's design.
And if the ship does manage to make it all the way to re-entry, we'll collect valuable data on the spacecraft flying through the Earth's atmosphere at hypersonic speeds, or more than 5 times the speed of sound. Re-entry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communications with spacecraft because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second or 5 miles per second. At those insanely high
pretty
speeds, the
fast.
spacecraft moving through the atmosphere creates a plasma field around the vehicle.
Yeah, and that blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication. All right, so big picture here, Starship is designed to land on Mars where there are no runways or other humans to help out. So that means we need to do a propulsive landing instead of a more traditional means like parachutes, which is what our Dragon spacecraft uses, or a runway like the Space Shuttle. Propulsive landing enables more rapid reusability.
Now, as the ship makes its way back to Earth, we should start hearing
From
some
Mars.
callouts when we hear entry max heating and entry max Q. That means the ship has made
Flaps
it through
off
the
control of the
maximum
vehicle.
heating and aerodynamic loads it will experience as it returns. So if it makes it through all of those, that's a pretty good sign that we're doing well.
Yeah, and we heard flaps have control of the vehicle now. Okay, there's a great shot there. You're starting to see the plasma build up. So we will hear a call out when the ship is transonic and then subsonic. Transonic refers to the period of flight where the velocities of airflows surrounding and flowing past the vehicle are concurrently below, at, and above the speed of sound, somewhere in the range of Mach 0.8 to 1.2. All right, a lot of numbers coming up here, but for reference, commercial jets have a range of cruising speeds, but most fly around Mach 0.74 to Mach 0.85, which is 480 to 575 miles per hour, or 770 to 930 kilometers per hour. Right now, we're going a little over 26,000 kilometers per hour. So compare that to the airplane at 930. It's like pretty crazy how fast we're going here. All right, and after we hear the call out that Starship is transonic, we should hear the call out that Starship is subsonic. Subsonic, of course, refers to the speed that is much less than the speed of sound. So at that point, the ship's velocity will be starting to slow down, and we'll be looking a little bit more like some of our suborbital flights from, at this point, almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, so re-entry so far is looking pretty good. You can see that plasma field. Also, again, with those missing tile experiments, especially, we're putting the ship through a lot today, but things are looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, we're looking good. I do want to remind people that we are pushing ship to the limits. We've done a lot of these missing tile tests. We did it back on Flight 10. Every time we do it, we throw something new and the ship makes it through. This time, we're really pushing it. We've removed these tiles in some of the spots that see the highest level of heating. And we remove tiles that have zero backup protection underneath. So there's essentially just bare steel. It's one of the heat of re-entry. And so do not be surprised if this is not a very smooth flight on the way down. But again, this is intentional. We are trying to find what are the limits for ship. How resilient are we to these different issues that could pop up? If we lose a tile anywhere in the vehicle, we want to know what that ultimate impact is going to be. So we've got a couple missing. We had a bunch pulled over the primary fuel, the LOX tanks, everything. This one, we've got a tile missing right on top. So that's going to see some of the highest temperatures during this re-entry, and there's just bare steel right underneath it. So we're going to see if Starship's robust enough to pull through that. Also have some tiles missing around the aft flaps, specifically on the leading edge. So again, we're getting a really good look right at the leading edge. That's getting really intense heating. So again, gonna see if it can make it through. See if all the flaps hold on, see if Starship holds together. But definitely could be a bumpy ride, but This is why we're flying. This is why we're flying in this part of the world. This is why we're putting Starship through these flight tests to really understand what its limits are. So we can then move on to the next thing, which is going to be bringing ships back to the launch site for a catch. But for now, still on this suborbital, the light show continuing. Keep following it in. I think we got about 15 minutes until splashdown.
Yeah, Dan, it looks, you can see our speed our speed indicator in the bottom left there. It looks like we're starting to scrub off velocity a little bit quicker.
Yeah, they're coming in pretty
Ship is
stably.
entering the peak heating phase of flight.
Yeah. Nice shockwave there. If you can see my mouse cursor. You got a shockwave right there.
Looks like we can see some clouds down there as we pass through 70 kilometers altitude.
Yeah, the sun's starting to come up again. Ooh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, they're over the Indian Ocean, so they're
Skirt
clouds.
is intact so far this time. If you watched Flight 10, you saw we entered with a little bit missing. That was ultimately traced to a little bit of buildup. We dumped prop on the way. We had a little bit of solid propellant buildup, and then either static discharge or the plasma ignited it, took out a tiny bit of that skirt, some of the aft flaps, but Starship, again, was able to fight through it, make it all the way to that landing burn. We addressed that, changed some of our prop dump con-ups, though, so should not be seeing that this time around. And as a reminder, in addition to these missing tile tests, we're doing kind of a unique flight on the way in. It's going to do what we call a banking maneuver. So while we're still going supersonic and even hypersonic, we're doing kind of a banking turn. And then we'll do a pretty aggressive turn right as we get into the subsonic and start doing our belly flop. And that's designed to essentially be the approach that we would do on a return to launch site and a tower catch.
Yeah, because
don't be surprised if we see the ship start to turn and make a few maneuvers as it makes its way down to the Indian. And fun fact, even though we're doing all this turning, we're essentially targeting the exact same spot in the Indian Ocean we went to last time.
Yeah, because if they came in and they weren't lined up, they'd have to translate sideways to a certain extent. So he's saying they can do a banking maneuver. Interesting. Yeah, it's you only get one shot at it.
All right, just about 12
Don't
minutes
go back
to
around
go.
again for another
Still
try.
looking good.
That's for sure. Got to be
That
lined
gives a pretty
up.
good view of those aft flaps where, again, on
I mean,
bleeding edge, I think it might be on the one on the other
What are
side.
they going
we
to
had
do
some tiles
if it's
removed
not
with
lined
no
up?
backups
Something goes
behind
wrong.
it.
It's not lined
So
up.
again, we're really
They
trying to
need
stress some of
they
the
need an abort system
most
to
sensitive areas
get any
around
people out of
Starship,
there.
where basically if you
They're
lose
not
a
planning
tile,
on
it's the
landing any
worst possible
people in
spot. And
this
if we're able to make it through this
ship at
then
the moment.
that tells us quite a bit about just how resilient this vehicle is.
They're not coming back from the moon in on Starship. They're coming back on
Yeah, and that
in
shot we just
Orion.
had earlier was looking at what we call the business end of Starship.
In other
with
words,
all
just
the
a
Raptor
regular
engines.
capsule
And those are
and
the engines that we're going to
parachute
be
splash down in
expecting
the
to light
ocean.
for that flip and landing burn, hopefully in about 10 minutes once we get through reentry. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, looking at E3, that's the one we did the relight on. So it's 2 for 2 so far. We'll see if it can go 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. The leading edge of that flap is glowing.
All right, we can see that speed just continue to bleed off under 20,000 kilometers an hour. Ship's still holding together.
Yeah, and if you look in the bottom right, looks like we've made it all the way to the Indian Ocean. We're coming up kind of near Australia, the west side of Australia there. So pretty crazy. We're only 56 minutes in, and we've made it all the way, you know, halfway around the world.
Still a long way from Australia. Cloud looks pretty thick.
It's actually a good demonstration of a future capability we hope to have on Starship, where we will do point-to-point transport on Earth. So essentially travel anywhere in the world in about an hour or so.
Oh, they're not still pushing that, are they?
Crazy. Imagine going from New York to Sydney in 1 hour instead of the 20 hours it takes currently.
Yeah, because nobody's going to spend $50,000 on the flight, are they? And risk your life at the same time.
And a reminder, so this camera is, we see some of the heat rate picking up a little bit.
Yeah,
this camera is embedded right in the end of one of those forward flaps, so you see it moving around. That's the flap adjusting to maintain control. Looks like we're getting into our bank maneuver.
Yeah, interesting.
Now power sliding through the atmosphere.
External temperatures are coming down. Vehicle is now at maximum dynamic pressure.
Max Q again. Max Q at 50 kilometers up.
All right, that was basically our reverse max Q, so most aerodynamic stress that it's going to see during reentry, we just passed through it, so we're past that, we're past peak heating. Ship's still holding together.
There's another glowing spot
so
there.
We're currently in this bank maneuver. We're going to see it kind of roll over and do a pretty significant shift.
That's pretty hot.
As we get
whatever
down
that
closer
is.
to the subsonic speeds.
It looks like one of the landing pins, I think.
Yeah,
Not really sure. It's a stub. Not really sure what that is, but it's very hot.
About the guidance, navigation, and control for return to launch site missions. So in the near future, we're hoping to return the ship back to the same pad we just took off on 59 minutes ago, and we've got to do some of these pretty dynamic bankings to make that trajectory work out.
All right, the light show kind of calming down as we're starting to move into the lower parts of the atmosphere. We should hit transonic, so hitting that transition between moving faster than the speed of sound and below the speed of sound in just about 3.5 minutes. Our landing burn should happen right around an hour and 6 minutes after launch, so we should be just about 6 minutes away from that. You can see lots of daylight. Everybody cross your fingers, see if our range team is able to get out there and provide any surprise views as Starship makes its way down. Oh, it's like they heard me. Ready and waiting, let's go.
Dan, you just spoke that view into existence there. And again, all brought to us by Starlink.
Maneuver has started.
All right, there we go. So we're now starting into our really heavy bank maneuver. Again, this does almost like a half circle loop to our actual trajectory. We're heading to the same exact splashdown point, but we're kind of doing a more roundabout way to get there.
It must be in a
it's this kind of big, long half moon loop, and
must be in a helicopter.
and a twist right at the very end, and that would line us up with the launch tower. Starship.
No, it couldn't be a
on return to
helicopter.
launch site would fly over the tower, do
Don't know what are they flying
a
around in.
quick landing burn flip, and then come down for catching the arms.
They're hoping to get a look at it as it comes in.
How about that S38 decal there, staying strong on that view we just had?
Good to see the numbers back on.
Yeah.
Geez, still pretty high up.
All right, should be hitting transonic in about 2.5 minutes. Landing flip coming up in about 4. Pretty clouds there in the Indian Ocean today. Again, yeah, we changed our launch times. We launch in the evening now, so we get these daytime views down in the Indian Ocean. One of the things we're really looking for, the reason we have the drone, other than, yeah, that looks really cool, is we're able to kind of see the ship. We can only see so much from these cameras. You can't see like the vast majority of the heat shield. So we throw these buoys out there. We've got there's...
You spoke it again, Dan. There it is.
They're playing with me in the control room. All right. But we have these buoys out there. We have these drones that.
Yeah, he said buoys, didn't he? There's more than one of them.
How the heat shield held up.
It's more than one
everybody
of them.
saw from Flight 10. It had a little bit of a paint job, a little bit of a reddish hue. That was from those metallic tiles that we had tested, kind of oxidizing really rapidly in that plasma, and then spreading those little oxide particles all over the heat shield. No metal tiles on this flight, so not expecting to see that.
Dynamic pressure is coming down.
Hope nobody gets seasick. All right, coming up on transonic shortly. It's about 2.5 minutes of landing burn.
Yeah, and once we get to around the 15-kilometer altitude mark, that's where we have a lot of flight history.
Starship is transonic, starting the belly flop phase of flight.
Yep, that belly flop phase that we perfected.
We're coming almost straight down by now.
We're entering that now.
Chilling the engines.
Right, starting to get those Raptors ready. Should be 2 minutes away from landing burn. Again, we're going to do a flip.
Just a bit of duct tape
Reignite
just
those
flapping
engines,
there.
We'll go from 3 down to 2 for the final phase of the landing burn and look for another soft splashdown, hopefully by our buoy and drone, which are hanging out, ready and waiting for a ship.
Yeah, you got to get that shot. Might reach terminal velocity. It's when the velocity is no longer slowing down. It just stays more or less constant, or it just slows down very slowly.
Center engines have entered the chill phase.
Like a skydiver. Yeah, they're at terminal velocity now, pretty much. Interesting. 7 kilometers. Like a skydiver. Oh yeah.
All right, less than a minute to go.
Watch out for that duct tape.
The ship is making its turn for final approach.
And here's this kind of aggressive final turn that would essentially position it so it's right behind the launch and catch tower.
And then you get one shot at it.
Flaps holding strong. Landing burn in just under 20 seconds.
Ship landing startup.
Landing burn. There it is.
There's our landing burn.
You can just see it on, there's a buoy down there, that pink thing.
3 down to 2.
Starship has landed.
Yeah. Well, it's crashed. I'm not going to call that a landing. No, I'm not calling that a landing. It exploded.
As we said, we're not planning on recovering the ship today. Hey, welcome back to Earth, Starship.
Yeah, it was,
we are down.
That was very energetic.
Indian Ocean. Let him hear it, Starbase. What a day.
What a flight.
Oh. All right. Welcome back to Earth, ship. What a day. A whole lot more to go through. As you just saw, everybody here at Starbase pretty hyped. Hey, Tyler, out of Hawthorne, how's everybody holding up?
Thank you, Dan. We had a fantastic time watching. It was another exciting Starship flight test in the books, and we hope that you enjoyed those Starlink views too. So congratulations to the team at Starbase and everyone here and around the company. So many employees contribute to the Starship program as we continue to iterate and make progress towards a multi-planetary future. So that wraps it up for us here in Hawthorne. Thank you for tuning in, and back to you guys.
Yeah, what an incredible launch today. We had successful liftoff. Booster completed its objective, successfully splashed down over in the Gulf. Obviously, we saw another amazing Starlink deploy as well from ship.
Yeah, we made it through that re-entry, testing all the different experience. We had missing tiles, gave us quite the light show. We had that Raptor relight, 3 for 3. That was ahead of re-entry, of course. And then that awesome splashdown that we just saw, including that dynamic banking maneuver to simulate RTLS when we returned to the launch site. So yeah, we promised maximum excitement, and Starship delivered.
Definitely.
Congrats to all our teammates at SpaceX and to everyone who's supporting the Starship program. And thank you to all our future customers for your support.
We'd also like to thank the fine people of Cameron County, including the residents of its newest city, Starbase, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Government of Mexico, and the Australian Space Agency.
Yeah,
there you
be
go.
sure to follow SpaceX on X for updates and about more of the exciting views we didn't get to feature on today's broadcast.
And if you're interested in more launch coverage just like this, head over to spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information.
All right, I will take us out. Hey, congrats, Jake and Amanda. You guys did amazing. Great job. All right, today we launched the world's biggest rocket, knocked out all of our objectives. Shout outs to every single person who made this look easy. Thank you to everybody tuning in. We're going to see you back here for the very first flight of our next generation Starship. So we'll see you then. Good night.
Didn't say when. Let him go. Well, nice demonstration of their satellite launcher, eh? Yeah, I'll just wrap up. All I can say is don't listen to the words, watch what you see. I didn't see a moon rocket there, I didn't see a Mars rocket there. I saw a satellite launcher. A satellite launcher with weight issues. Yeah. Oh, that's it for this year, I guess. Oh, I'm glad the test all went off. Nothing blew up anyway. Nothing failed too dramatically, except the end there it exploded. Yeah. I don't know. Call me cynical if you want, but I'm a skeptic. I don't listen to the words. I look at the evidence. And I think that's going to be right more often than not. So I'm sticking to it. So anyway, I have to see what their new generation looks like. If they do actually get the if they get the thing to or go around the Earth a couple of times or whatever it's going to take to line up again on on Texas. That'll be interesting if they could even get that part to work. Landing ship back on the chopsticks. That would be extremely interesting. Because so far, they're crashing it into the Indian Ocean seems easy, doesn't it? Catching it, because as been pointed out by Thunderfoot and other people, it's the catching the booster is easy because the amount of kinetic energy involved. I mean, relatively easy, I should say. I won't call it easy, but the first stage is a different matter. It's got a lot more kinetic energy for them to worry about. To slow it back down, and then also to everything's got to work perfectly. They only get one shot at it, and also if the Raptor V3, yeah, I reckon I don't know. I'm not saying there's the OP is fine. I mean they could sell that engine to anybody. I reckon the engine's probably pretty good. It's just my suspicion and other people's suspicions as well is the booster's probably fine because the amount of kinetic energy is a lot less than ship, but ship seems to be too heavy. I suspect that they're going to switch to something other than steel to bring the weight down. Just make it more manageable, but that'll make it more expensive, of course. Yeah, it'd be nice to see them. They should be testing that. They should be doing test flights to the moon by now. They just barely get out of the atmosphere. Oh well. Hey, maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't know. I'm just not seeing any magic here at all, really. Well, there is no magic. It's physics. You can't change the laws of physics, as they say. All right, I'll catch you next time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it for this year. Somebody said that they didn't think there was going to be another launch this year. They didn't say it. They didn't actually say it in the broadcast, though. But I suspect, unless they got something ready to go, it would have been nice to see a test flight, even of their satellite launching system, a test flight every 2 weeks, because you could see the progress. But this launch was pretty much like the one back in August, so that's almost two months, and you can't. I'm sure there was lots of changes, but New Glenn, New Glenn, I want to watch New Glenn. I'll do it if there's a New Glenn one. I'll do a New Glenn one. New Shepard, I couldn't give a shit about, honestly. That's for the tourists. I'm not worried about New Shepard. New Glenn will be good because they've got to get their reusable booster working and stuff like that as well. And it'd be just nice to see. You too. Yeah, it's just Eric. Just nice to see a something for comparison. Because we're just seeing this one thing. In my mind, anyway, it'd be just nice to see see a comparison. Oh, bring on 2026, perhaps. All right, I better wrap up. I better finish up. So thanks for your comments there, and it was some comment from David earlier, remarking about the video, born by Elon Musk. I'm sure that was all totally unscripted and spontaneous. Okay, catch you next time.